So I have the mic right now to temper my voice and my nervous system so I don't get overly hyped. I held this in because I'm already getting hyped. Do you hear my voice raise? It was my son's birthday yesterday, so I was like, well, for the sake of maturity and energy drainage, I'm not going to put my focus on this. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to acknowledge it. But the amount of feminine rage that I've been feeling, you guys, this can go into so many topics that are popping up on my algorithm and what's happening in the collective. But, oh man, I'm about to unleash. And can we just make space for the topic on healthy rage? There's nothing wrong with anger. And I definitely grew up in a household where that was mirrored very dysfunctionally. And I witnessed a lot of crash outs. And that was pretty normal, swept under the rug. And then you kind of gaslight yourself if that just really happened, and you're supposed to return to like some kind of social normalcy, especially if there's other people outside of the household. You know what I'm saying? Now, I found a way to alchemize this anger, but I don't believe there's anything wrong with voicing it. And man, as an Aquarius, you know that I've built my case due to facts, history, pattern, screenshots. You said this at 2:38 p.m. on a Sunday. So, if you're gonna come at me, make sure that there's things that are not on file that discriminate against your delusional narrative on this storyline of what's happened and who I am as a person and what I've done, and that I don't deserve the position that I'm in now. And it amazes me because, depending, how you look at success and where you're at in life, I feel like I have such a long road ahead of me. And it's true that people will hate on you and project on you totally based on your energy. And it's almost confirmation for me that I've evolved, leveled up, and grown, because in my eyes, I have a long way to go. In someone else's eyes, they're envious because I did the work that they refused to do, or choices that they did not have the courage and bravery to make for whatever reason. And, I feel it and I hear you. And I was in that spot for many years. But like I always say, with enough desire or pain, one will outweigh the other. And basically, it's not like rainbows and butterflies. It was an ego death where I got sick of my shit, and you have to too. And then, of course, ironically, those same people that hate on you are also subconsciously inspired by you, so much so that they mimic you, that they adopt your personal principles and beliefs and the things that you post, and even going down to aesthetics, the things that you wear and the branding. And I could go on about this for hours, but just wow. So I already feel that Kazemi coming, and it's been happening in spurts. We already had I think 2 already. And they said that we have the most they've seen in a long time. So this is going to be a year of ultimate clarity, you guys. Anything that's in the shadows is going to be illuminated for the sake of renewal. Yeah, get scared, because I know for me, my Chiron in Leo is being highlighted, and it's been very enlightening and also shaking up certain aspects with like my Juno, which comes with the feminine rage of like, seeking justice for the wrongdoings. It usually has to do with like women and children that are in need. And I'm just feeling that boil. So you can get upset and irritated that you threw dirt on my name, and yet flowers just keep growing, right? I just keep alchemizing the energy. And everything that's happened to me so far played a purpose and a part in the passion that I feel and the drive and the momentum in the things that I want to create, the people that I help, the impact that I truly want to make. Like, it's not about like, just for show. And yes, it has to do with like some kind of selfish personal fulfillment, but you know what? I've given up so much of myself to be of service as a mother, a partner, ex-spouse, a daughter, and always doing what everyone else wants. So I think it's time I do me. And that includes speaking and expressing freely on my own time, not concerned with how someone is going to feel or behave or the consequences that might happen due to me speaking my truth and it really being based on their behavior. I feel like people are really sometimes try to keep me small because they're afraid of what I know and what I'm going to say. It happens a lot, even online, and yet they try. I don't know. The last reading I had with Miriam, she mentioned a specific date where I would have a lot to say. She didn't say what I would say or really much of what it was about, except it was sitting in Sagittarius, which is the truth teller. And it was triggering my Gemini. And she said, you're just going to be like, you're fake, you're fake, you're fake, and just calling people out. And I can already feel the beginning steps of that. And it's interesting because yet the people project on me, yet they're the ones that walk in my life. Yet they're the ones that continue to come back. And yet somehow make me wrong, try to control me. And that's honestly part of the bag of being a healer. People will walk into your life and you show them a mirror and they can choose to level up, learn, and evolve and alchemize the energy with you, because sometimes the message and the lesson is also for the healer. It can work both ways. But not the constant blaming, not the constant projection and crossing boundaries to get your needs met or to make yourself feel better or create a delusional narrative on how you best see fit. And it is honestly dangerous to live that way, to be creating illusions and living a lie. And it's like the butterfly effect. So if you're building something based off a lie, expect the tower to fall. And yes, I'm speaking in tarot forms, of course, but the tower card is a Pluto card, and we are in a Pluto retrograde, you guys. So whatever you didn't learn last time during the last Pluto retrograde, it's coming around. And it has a lot to do with authenticity and truth. And when you tell a lie, you have other characters in your life that move around based on that lie. And it gets bigger and bigger. Well, just imagine the breakthrough that will happen off simple truths. And realizing how much other people moved around a puppet master. But even in general terms, this could be a lie you tell yourself, and realizing that you built a whole life around this denial and this lie that you tell yourself every day. It could be something as simple as that, but I think that's pretty big. And just as much as a lie can move people around you around based on that lie, the same thing will happen with the truth. And if you're scared of the truth and you haven't voiced it to others, other people will make adjustments. A lot of it has to do with like a people-pleasing factor or shame, not wanting to hurt others, doing things out of duty, even if it's draining you, and knowing that that isn't really where you're supposed to be going. A lot of people are getting the call to get into alignment, to experience joy and create joy for themselves. And I know that sounds very woohoo, right? But there is such a purpose to this long term. How this is happening on a collective level. And a lot of what I spoke on is technically abuse, and it's gaslighting, lies, deception, illusions, right? And Pluto in Aquarius is asking us to regenerate on truth and authenticity, humanity. And we've lost that. And we all know that. It's time for a revolution. And how we're seeing that in the economy. The government is abusing. I mean, let's be real. I'm blacklisted and canceled. And I really don't get a whole lot of engagement on this account anyway. But that's the truth. And so we're watching corporate greed and these faulty leaders fall. Are you guys seeing how this transit is interconnected and how it can show up in your world on a personal level and even on a collective level, living, breathing, everyone is experiencing, right? And I just shared a little personal snapshot of mine. So yes, I'm going through it too. And I think people don't realize just how big this is. And it's not only just highlighting like, oh, illusions and lies and abuse, whatever, but it's also opening up some perspective on leadership. And that's leadership of households, leadership of self, leadership of communities, businesses, corporations. Things are going to move around